the halachas of yesterday when we learned, we were talking about putting on tefillin that doesn't belong to you. You don't own the tefillin, but you came into shul without a pair of tefillin and you want to borrow a pair of tefillin from somebody. So if the person is there, we know clearly you have to ask the person, get permission from him to put them on. But what if the person is not there? So we discussed that you're allowed to use it, providing that. And basically providing that, you give it back in the same situation that it was, assuming that you don't know clearly that the person doesn't want you to use it. Because we also learned that if we know for sure that the person doesn't want you to use his film, although we have a rule, as a rule, we have that people do appreciate, do want to let somebody else use their tefillin, do a mitzvah with what belongs to them. But at the same time, if this person chose not to, that's his choice. And you can't do it if you know the person doesn't want you to. And that's where we left it off yesterday.
That was like basic mental type. Or something, you took something, you put it back.
Right. But here we're talking about halacha. Menschlichkeit. The mitzvahs are menschlichkeit. Many of them that we, even if it's a chayik, it's still menschlichkeit. Anyway, the proof that it's a mitzvah is not that it's not menschlichkeit. So now we're up to taking off the tefillin. Put on the tefillin, and we know whose tefillin you can put on, when you need to put it on. We learned all about that. Now we're up to Zman Chalitzas HaTefillin. When do we take the tefillin off? So, actually, here it says more specifically. It's common practice in the world out there. We're not talking about necessarily mini Chabad, but it's common practice. And until after Uvalitziyin, you don't take off your tefillin. Some people take off the tefillin in the middle of Chazaras Hashatz. But no, it's common practice, and it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, and the big Shulchan Aruch, the Beis Yosef, the Ramah. You don't take off your tefillin until after Uvalitziyin. After Uvalitziyin, does that mean after the Kaddish after Uvalitziyin, or after Uvalitziyin? We'll soon learn. That's why I want you to wait. I specifically said it because I knew you were going to ask. Have patience. In Israel, they say savlanut. Yeah. Alpi Kabbalah. So that's what Noagu Ha'olam. And when we say Noagu Ha'olam, that to take it off after Uvalitziyin, it means specifically Uvalitziyin, not the Kaddish. Alpi Kabbalah, but it says, according to Kabbalah, Ein lecholtzan ad la'acher Kaddish tiskabel shala'acher Uvalitziyin. Alpi Kabbalah, you should wait until after the Kaddish tiskabel, after the Kaddish is said, after Uvalitziyin. Now, and the reason for it is because there is what's brought down that at least 3 Kadeshim should be said in the tefillin. And when we say 3 Kadeshim, so number 1, there's the Chatzi Kaddish of Baruch Hu, is considered the first Kaddish. The second Kaddish is considered the Chatzi Kaddish, which comes after Chazaras Hashatz. There's another Chatzi Kaddish. And then the third Kaddish is the Kaddish Tiskabel after Uvalitziyin. And actually, the Rebbe brings a point. He says, Al Pikavola, that's the 3 Kadeshim, and therefore we have to wait till the Kaddish after the Tiskabel. What about the Kaddish that comes before Hoidu? It's also a Kaddish. And he leaves it with a question mark why that Kaddish is not necessarily considered one, and maybe because the truth is that not everybody has that custom for that Kaddish. But again, what we're talking about here, what's brought down generally is that the Kaddish, to wait till after the Kaddish, after this Kabbalah, according to Kabbalah, is because you have to have at least 3 Kadeshim while you're wearing the tefillin.
In the letter, the reads from the Sefer that some people say don't count the first Kaddish.
Is that what it says?
Sefer.
Okay, could be, yeah. It's interesting. again, talking about what Yossi Silverman said earlier, it seems like certain things that people do actually is brought down in halacha. So people come late to shul. Okay. So anyway, the bottom line is that basically, according to halacha, you have to wait till after Kaddish. According to Kabbalah, you have to wait till after the Kaddish, after Uvalatzin, if you're going to take off film after Uvalatzin. No. We're saying just even general. You could take it off and switch then if you're going to put on Rabbeinu Tams or whatever. If you have some reason, that's another story. If there's a reason. We talked about earlier what you have to have your tefillin on, and even if you have a reason that you can't start with your tefillin, we talked about those halachas. But here we're talking about somebody's davening, putting on the tefillin for davening. How long do you have to keep it on? Do you have to keep it on until the end of Tillim, or do you have to keep it on until after Aleinu, or till after Uvalatzin? So Al Pi Kabbalah, it has to be at least after Kaddish, after Uvalatzin. And if it's a day, Mondays or Thursdays, where you take out a Sefer Torah, so we bring back the Sefer Torah when after the Kaddish Tiskabel of Uvalatzin, after that we say a Hallelujah, or we take the Sefer Torah back. So in this case, you still have to keep your tefillin on until the Sefer Torah is put back into the Aron Kodesh. So it ends up being that you have to keep it on a little bit longer, because while the Sefer Torah is out, you don't take off your tefillin. So that's so far till after the Kaddish of Uvalatzin. V'yesh, and there are those she'ein cheltzin ad la'acher Kaddish Yosim. There are those that wait until the Kaddish Yosim, which is after Aleinu. Till not the Kaddish Yosim of Shir Shal Yayim, but the Kaddish after Aleinu. The Arizal, it says, he would wait until after Al Kein Nikava. And when we say Al Kein Nikava, that becomes a question too. After Al Kein Nikava, which is Aleinu basically, does it mean till after the Kaddish after Aleinu? Or does it mean till after Al Kein Nikava? So, Altira, Al Kein Nikava, part of that is Altira, the way we do it today. That's a continuation. But the question becomes, do you have to wait till after the Kaddish, or is it just, so Bepashtus, it doesn't mean, the Arizal is not arguing as to whether it needs to be another Kaddish, but basically the Arizal is based on, there's different minhagim, there's a Sfard, there's a Ashkenaz, in terms of when you finish the davening. And the davening, according to the way the Arizal was davening, that Nusach, it could have been that he finished davening after Aleinu, and there wasn't another Kaddish afterwards. Because again, if the question is as to how, and we see that it's based on how many Kaddishim you have to have the tefillin on with, so if anything, that is, I should say, you have to wait for another Kaddish. But he's not talking about a Kaddish here. He's just what his basic thing is saying that to us that we should keep the tefillin on until after we finish davening. So based on that, from our perspective, which the Rebbe instituted, the Rebbe taught us that the Tefillin after davening is really part of the conclusion of davening. It may not be part of the same chiyuv of davening, but at the same time, we actually, when the Frierdiker Rebbe established to say Tillim, that every day after davening we say Tillim, there was the thought that perhaps, since we don't add anything to tefillos, there should be a thought that Tillim should be said after davening is over, and the Chazan shouldn't even stand at the Amid to say Tillim, because it would seem like we added something to the davening, and we don't want to do that. We're so careful about not adding anything to the davening. So what they originally did actually was the Chazan, when he davened for the Amid and he finished Aleinu, instead of saying Tillim from the Amid, he would go over to the Bima to say Tillim. So it shouldn't seem like it's a continuation of it's the conclusion of davening, but it's another piece. Okay, we finished davening, now we're going to say Tillim. but it's already become the custom that we do say it even at the Amid. It's because, in fact, it's important. Again, there's a balance there. And the balance is to be sure that it's said regularly. You daven, you finish off the Tillim. And if you're going to, what happened originally, when the Chazan would finish and he would go over to the Bima, like today, even standing at the Bima, you have a fraction of people that say the Tillim. Can you imagine if the Chazan actually stopped and went somewhere else? Okay, davening is over. So it continues, the Chazan continues at the Amud, and he follows it with Tillim, but at the same time, we understand this is an additional thing, and it was actually established. Friedrich Rebbe established that Tillim should be said when it was a very difficult, challenging times for Bnei Yisrael, and during the times of the war. What's that? It was a very challenging times in the communist regime, and that's when it was started. And the Rebbe talked about very strongly about the importance of saying Tillim. Obviously, it's certainly as important now for Klal Yisrael to make sure. So today, if it was important once upon a time, it's certainly important now to be able to make sure that after davening is over with us concluding also the Tillim of the day, because the Tillim of the day is so important. The Rebbe writes about the importance of Tillim in Yom Yom, but bottom line, talking about taking off the Tefillin, we should, on a regular basis, wait till we finish the Tillim, then take off the Tefillin. What's that? No, it's not the Kaddish, because the point of the Kaddish is only because according to Kabbalah, you need a certain amount of Kaddishim. According to some opinions, you need 3. According to some opinions, you need 4. But the Kaddish is certainly something, in addition to the davening, something else that wearing the Tefillin should be, you should wear the Tefillin having at least so many Kaddishim said. And again, whether 3 or 4. So it's not really the Kaddish after, it's at least having said the Tefillin. Okay. Rish Chodesh is an exception, because Rish Chodesh, we take off the tefillin after you say Ashri Ovalotzion. The aim is Palin Behen Musaf. We don't have a Musaf in tefillin on Rish Chodesh. For what reason? And many of you are familiar that we don't have in tefillin. We don't wear tefillin while we are saying Keser. She'ein roi liyis muchte betfilm b'shah she'emer keser yiten lecha. Keser yiten lecha is a concept that we give to Hashem. Keser, we give him the crown, and the tefillin itself are referred to as a crown. So, as a result of that, the Chachamim established that we don't wear the tefillin that are considered as a crown, and at the same time saying to Hashem, Keser yiten lecha. So, if somebody is, for example, he's not davening with the minyan, and he's up to middle of Shachris, and the Chazan is saying Keser. So if the Chazan is saying Keser, the custom is that you cover your tefillin, you put it under the hat, you put it under your talis, so you don't have the tefillin uncovered when Keser is being said. So generally, as part of the minyan, after Ashri or Balatziyah, before we start Musaf, you take off your tefillin, you take off Rashi's tefillin, and if somebody puts on Rabbeinu Tams, that's the time to put on Rabbeinu Tams. And then afterwards, we start with Musaf again.
They don't say Keser except with repetition. So why do they?
Well, because that's part of Musaf. Well, it's obviously in the repetition. You're not going to take it off after. The repetition follows the Shemona Esrei. So you don't want to say Shemona Esrei and then take it off. And so it's before Musaf, you take it off because you're going to be saying Keser in Musaf. Minog Chachamim. It's also a custom that lenashik as tefillin b'shas chalisasim. That when you take off the tefillin, you kiss the tefillin. We talked about it earlier, how we have to be so careful with the tefillin, the kedusha of the tefillin, the honor that we give the tefillin. so that when we put it on, we kiss it, and also b'shas chalitzason, when you take off the tefillin, it's accustomed to kiss the tefillin. First, you take off the tefillin that you wrapped around your palm. First, that part is taken off, or around your fingers, rather. That's the first part that you take off. After you take off the ritzuas from the fingers, then you take off the shoulder. You take it off the fingers, wrap it around your palm, then you take off the shoulder. Because so long as you have the tefillin shoulder on your head, you must have the tefillin shel yad when you have the tefillin shel rosh on. You can't have the tefillin shel rosh on, the head tefillin on, without the shel yad on too, because din zeh lamdu mi pasuk. This the Chachamim derive from a pasuk. The pasuk states, "V'hoyu l'teitofa is beinei necha." It says, "And it shall be l'teitofa is beinei necha," that it should be on your, tied around your, between your eyes. So v'hoyu, and v'hoyu is a plural. What should be the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh? That means this implies that when you have l'teitofa is beinei necha, you have to have a plural, and that's the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh. Torah uses the expression v'hoyu, which is plural, to imply shekol's man sheyeshnem olav tefillin shel rosh, to teach us that whatever we have the shel rosh on, the head tefillin on, tzarich shetiyena olav gam tefillin hashniya shel yad. You must have at that point the second pair of tefillin, which is the shel yad, and be'eis chalitzas tefillin shel rosh. And when you take off the tefillin shel rosh, it's also a custom, and this is brought down. Also, it's not brought down in Shulchan Aruch, but it's brought down. The Rebbe brings it to look at the shin that's on the shel rosh. So when you take it off, what's that? Well, you can't look at it while it's on. No. When you take it off, that's the both sides. Yeah, on each side it's different. One is 3, one is 4. In case you didn't see it, when you look at it next time, you'll notice that the shin on the shel rosh on both sides of the tefillin, it's a different kind of shin. One is with 3 legs or 3 legs. What's that? Shin, good. And so there's 3 and 4. But anyway, to look at it when you take off your tefillin. Okay, we will stop with this. Yes. We'll get to that soon. You gotta have patience. What? The same night. Yeah. Because again, it's the shem and that will be okay. Okay, Ma'ariv. It was halfway here already.